All right, man. So let's get a little political. Let's kind of get tight around here.
Oh man.
So you've had the ability, obviously, to travel all over the country. When you look at Dallas compared to other cities, what are some of the pros and cons? Like, I mean, I hear a lot of things, and let me just, I guess, maybe to kind of provide a little bit of, put a little life raft out there for you. I've heard that Dallas, we're extremely creative. We're just not necessarily as culturally in depth or in terms of numbers and quality as other places. But I've heard and I've seen in some cases that we're a very adaptable community. So,
Actually,
what's your perspective?
I can agree. I think we're absolutely creative, and I also know we just don't have a lot of the resources that a lot of other cities have, at least in Texas. But nowadays it's available and attainable, so it's very easy to do it on your own.
Word.
But like even now, kind of like Barney's doing animation sessions, and he's been training with Mega Man out in Canada. Well, he hadn't gone to Canada, but he's been doing like his program online. And then like now T-Soup is starting to throw hip hop sessions, which I think is really dope because now we're creating I guess you could say like another aspect of the community where people can focus on these styles and sub-styles to further themselves and then further their curiosity, and then also just utilize it for their own desired movement. And which I think is kind of just how Dallas is. Like when I grew up, like I watched Dance Club 21, so that was when like Comfort and her brother was on there, and then, damn near everybody that is I guess like an OG now was on that show. But that's when I felt like Dallas had a lot of culture. And I mean we still do, but like you got Legion out there keeping D-Town Boogie alive,
Right.
And
shouts out to Legion. First interview that I ever did.
Yeah, and not everybody Dougie's anymore, but it's still there.
Right.
We still can Dougie. There's variations. You can get creative, but like I know for me personally, I do wish that there were more resources for say like hip hop. Like we did have Bo for popping, but I know I came in when he was already done teaching, and I know my curiosities were just everywhere when it came to even learning whacking or even learning house. Like I think I took like Keith Clark's class a few times when he taught house, but I didn't get too deep. But I've gotten the opportunity to travel, so I could learn some of these styles and these genres and get more exposure. But it'd just be cool if we had more of that come to us, which is something that I do want to do in the near future, is bring a lot of those people who are part of the style, part of the culture, part of those communities, and share that here, because there's some cats that do that here as well. Like I remember there was a point where they brought Pause out. I think Taj brought Pause out, and then he brought YouTube out, which was really dope. And it's like cool. That was only one time though, and I started seeing people like try to like keep it consistent and carry like Chicago footwork or carry Light Feet, but there's only so much you can do without furthering yourself in the culture and in the knowledge, and because we don't have that here,
right,
we only go so far, and then in a way it dips off, but it's not like horrible. It's just you kind of burn out because you need to know more, you need to be rooted more, and we don't have a lot of the roots here.
Facts.
Or
like the OGs and stuff like that, for that matter.
Like I feel like for me, Crump was one of the things that I felt a little bit more rooted in, because there was more seeds that were planted that became rooted when I came into it. You know what I mean? Like, because Freedom was the person who taught me crunk first. And if you all saw me dance back then, you would know Freedom taught me crunk. Like, you'd be like, what is it? They would be like, yo, what's up, Jay Free? Or whatever. I was like, calm down. But, you know, Freedom's my brother, and I love him. And
Shouts out to Free. One of these days, we'll get you in this interview, bro.
Yeah, he'll be like, so, yeah, Sylar's my big brother, y'all. And he always says that, too, and it's funny. But yeah, and like once I learned that, and then I started to just explore that more, that's when I was like, okay, this feels more grounded for me. But like, when it came to like even popping, like the people I would just learn from and kind of vibe with were like Darlisha and Hamp. Like those are my people. And then like Ramon, and he was like really heavy into popping back then. And then, you know, anybody that I just went to the sessions with, like when we even had the what is it, the cancer
survivor positive.
Yeah, when we were all there, they would do like battles all the time. And so at that point, then when we were being a little bit more exposed, and then we were all learning from each other. But once even that died down, then it became like where to learn from, or where to learn how to like really get more rooted. And then eventually, when I know me moving to LA helped me, because then I was able to find all that like I was drawn to. I was like, yo man, I'm trying to learn these footwork styles, and I'm trying to like really dive into like hip hop and understand like the movement quality and just how to be in that. And so once I was there, that's when I was like, cool. And now you have people like Storm bringing clowning back. Not bringing clowning back, it's always been there, but you know, she just popped off in all the ways that, you know, she needed to, and then everybody loves her. And, you know, she's doing it, and now people want to, they're like, I want to bang now.
Right.
And, yo, her and Boomer, yo, man, oh my God, he's so crazy.
Shouts out to OG Boomer.
Yeah, he's wild. The Boomer's crazy, bro. I'm a fan of all of them, but yeah, no, like it's just cool though. It's cool to see now how big street styles are getting, and just to bring it back, like I wish we had that. Like I wish D-Town Boogie really blew up in a way that wasn't just in the clubs or, you know, in the hood or on the street. Like we could bring it to the community, but not necessarily have like battles, but just like have jams where everybody was in there learning how to like socially interact in that manner.
Facts.
And then
Right.
it would cultivate something else that could be, you know, something even more beautiful today. But, you know, again, Legion is doing just that, and that's great. Like, man, went to Africa with that.
Man.
I was like, come on, bro.
Yeah,
like,
bro. I was proud to hear that he was doing that, man, because that's the motherland, man. Like to be able to like to go back home, and it literally, when he said it, in my mind, it was literally like taking something back home. It's like, Mom, Dad, I made something myself, and then bringing it back. Like so, like to be able to do that, bro. That's an experience that people don't get to have.
Yeah.
Like so, to do that, that's.
Absolutely.
Shouts out to you, Legion. Shouts out to you, Legion, bro. That's heavy work right there. You know what I'm saying?
Shouts
That's
out to
big
anybody
dog.
that's just making their dreams come true, and also just keeping culture alive. Like that's definitely important, and I just know that's what I wish we had in Dallas, and I know it's coming. Like I feel it. Not even like just from me wanting to do what I want to do with it, but like in general, like there's people that are also drawn to not only Dallas but Texas. Like anytime I go anywhere, they're like, yo man, I gotta go out there. I hear about so many cats that are out there that, you know, doing their thing, killing it and whatnot, and like I'm like, just go.
Right.
And I think also they're waiting for an event. Like people are just waiting for an event to happen out here so that way they can have a
pop
reason.
out.
Yeah, because other than that, they just keep talking about, yeah, man, I just want to go see Dallas Cats, because every time Dallas Cats come out, they be showing up, or Texas, whatever, you know, like.
Right.
But yeah, I definitely agree that Dallas is creative, and you know, that's where we thrive, because we don't have all those resources. We have to learn how to make do with what we got, and that's why we are so strong and adaptable in that manner.
Right.
But then it becomes a little bit of our downfall when you get into a setting where people know how to adapt in a whole other way, that is like more grounded and more rooted and more not authentic. There's another word I'm looking for, but just more like firm in what they built. Because right now a lot of us are like very just conceptual, and that in itself can take us so far. Like we've I've been included in that category of like forgetting the dance, and then eventually over time, like it went from being only using my arms, and it went from me being like people saying you need to use your chest, and I'm like, what do you mean? And then it's like, okay, now you got your chest, you need to use your hips. I'm like, what?
Right. It's always
there's
something.
more. And then after that it's like use your whole body. And I was like, and so that basically was like literally my evolution went from my arms to my chest to my hips to my feet then to my whole body. And then now like I have this understanding of what the harmony is between head to toe, and how everything can basically do anything. It's just a matter of how you choose to use it. And I think that's one of the things that it's not what we lack but what we forget, because we know this, like this is common knowledge, but when we get into a battle we think we got to do all this stuff, but in reality we just got to dance.
Facts.
With everything else on top. And I think that's just all we need to be reminded of, is like the dance.
Yeah.
Like remember, you still need to dance. Like this is a dance. Like you can do all this, you know what I'm saying, but you still need to dance with it. Whether it just be like you keeping time, or you were literally like sitting in a pocket and then building on top of that. Like
I think we definitely I think we're definitely in that age. 'Cause, I mean, and you said a lot, man. I agree with everything you said for sure. I think we're living in a time to where it's unfortunate because like everybody's using certain terminology so loosely. Like the biggest one that I always say over and over again, I always will, because I always find somebody who doesn't understand like what a groove actually is. People get it confused with rolling your body or waving. They always think like, oh, let me see you groove, and they start doing this, and it's just like,
what?
Nah, that ain't it. Like, what are you doing? I'm grooving, bro. But it's more so because they are looking at it in a conceptual way. They're seeing the movements or the articulation of like how they're moving their body versus like what's actually happening while they're dancing. It's like, are you in the groove of the music? Like, it's literally, I looked it up because I always beat people over the head. It's just a rhythmic swing to the cadence of the beat. That's all it is, just back and forth. And people like, and I'm telling them, I was like, you ever been to a black church? No, but I mean, yeah, I've seen it. I was like, the choir members, them just doing this.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's simple.
That simple.
Yeah.
I was like,
simplicity is key, bro. It's like,
full circle. Let's go, Gifted. Let's go, Gifted. There it is, man.
Yeah, that's how you tell a story.
Bada boom. But yeah, man, like that. I definitely think when it comes to like Dallas, we need 10 in each spectrum, in my personal opinion, that are going to be rooted in that. Because it's like, you're always going to have, obviously, the trailblazers and stuff, like the people that are always going to kind of push the boundaries. Like, obviously, for popping out here right now, that's Rift. Yeah. Rift is really out here trailblazing, trying to push the craft forward, and to really hold it down for DFW. And I think that's what he's doing. But we also need people that are rooted in popping, that have been here a lot longer than him, that are teaching, that are hosting the sessions and stuff like that. Because I'm not gonna lie, I am guilty of me having a conversation. I'm like, hey, bro, you should definitely host sessions or something like that. But I understand that, hey, he's in a prime time of his life. He needs to push as far as he possibly can. What are the chances, ironically, Freedom, you just commented on one of my videos. We were just talking about you. So
He heard it.
But I definitely think he's in the prime of his life. So I understand what he's striving for now more than ever. So I definitely think it's important that everybody, like you said, everybody just pursues like what their heart desires, as you said, man. And I'm seeing it in a lot of people. And even as far as like what you were saying with how Dallas, we adapt in a different way, almost conceptually, versus how they, like a prime example is like one person I've always followed and I've always been a fan of is Rashad.
Oh yeah.
Like watching Rashad literally studying him from a distance for the last probably 14 years of my life, like watching him, like how he, he can pop and he can really get down. Then I watched him lock, and then he even does hip hop, and it's just like they adapt in that type of way. It's like, oh, that's cool. You've got a sword, and you've got a shield. That's nice. Okay. Well, I've got a sword, shield, battle axe. Like, it's just like they start It's like I've got every spectrum of weaponry that you could possibly use, and like the level of diversity that I think that I see from these other neighboring states and stuff like that is, in my personal opinion, what I would like to see more from Dallas. Yeah. Not just simply like, as I've stated, people, oh, Crump looks fire, let me get angry and start aggressively, stomping around the dance floor, but then start waving, and it's just like, nah, man, that's not it. Like, I don't. It's just it's unfortunate to see, but I do admit that compared to these other states and stuff like that, even though we've been here for a while, the Dallas dance scene is still very young, very young. So they are pursuing their heart's desires, and that's why I say I just think that we need to have constantly have people that have been, who've got her out of who are past that point of just traveling all over. They're comfortable and they're secure as far as, okay, I know what I'm here to do. Right. Like as much as it burns me and I always push for it, I know that my path is never to be the best dancer out of Dallas. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And that was a hard thing for me to accept, but we're just gonna keep doing it. Keep doing it anyway, man. But let me ask you a personal question. Okay. Given as diverse as you are, has there ever been a personal situation to where you kind of felt like you're kind of on the edge of biting, or am I doing this right, or am I kind of have you ever gotten to that point to where you felt like you were biting something, or maybe you weren't respecting the culture that you were learning? Or given its due?
Consciously, no. I've just did my best to move with integrity, and if I ever felt like an inkling of it, I'd go research and just make sure I know what I'm doing, making sure that I'm good. But at the end of the day, I also don't want to take away the authenticity that is me. So granted, when I do research and find resources, I take it with a grain of salt, because I want to make sure that I can still remain within my authentic self and my authentic being and what my heart desires and what I feel like I love. But I mean, so to answer your question more directly, no. But when it comes to Crump, I've always been so drawn to it, but there was still moments where I was just there's something that's not clicking. There's something that's not resonating, that I'm struggling with, because it's funny how you were Crump stomp, and then they start waving like that. That's me. That's funny, because Bad News would always get onto me about that. We'd be in our labs, and then I'd be like, dude. And when I would throw a wave, sometimes he'd be like, yo, you're throwing it too long. Stop. And I was like, this is too long, bro? He was like, that's way too long, bro. And I was like, I don't know what to do, man.
Crump is very...
Yeah, that's why I was just I think my biggest struggle would be understanding the languages of each style. Because each style has its own specific, types of communication.
I say frequency is the one thing that we communicate on different frequencies.
Yeah, frequencies is definitely a good way to put it. And understanding each frequency is the tricky part. Because once you get settled in one, you have to kind of either forget about it for a second, just so you can have space to receive the other, or you're just gonna have to learn how to go from me to that's also kind of where understanding dance, because groovement is, I feel just that. There's different frequencies within a groove and different cadences that you can catch, but you don't have to stay on one all the time. That's where dynamics comes in. And that's where understanding why dynamics are important, because even with the way that I'm talking to you right now, I have inflection. How do you say it? Inflections, whatever.
Inflection.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Y'all know what I'm saying. They're going to be in the comments like, this man don't even know how to speak English.
It's pronounced.
It's pronounced and spelled, but yes, so we have this type of up and down with our energy, with our delivery. So that's also the same with movement. Like, you can't just be like here the whole time. Like, you can like there's levels to it,
Right.
and you can go to a high level or you can go to a low level, which is out. It's not like anything but simple, and that's your like your spectrum. Like, just touch that. And if it's in a battle, like, you have to do it fast. If it's just in a session, you can take your time, because then you have more time to explore. But like, let all that be what builds who you are.